Good day, folks. Just a quick sound check. If you could let me know if you can hear me. I think it's working fine. Good day, folks. Yeah, it's working. Right, we'll start in a minute's time. I don't want to start too early, and there are people coming in, I'm sure. So I'll wait for my first comments for about 1 minute. Good morning, Mia. Shorting oil. Well, you may be a little late on it, but we have had a bit of a retracement back up again. So there's probably a chance to get in on oil. We're short already from a few days ago. All right, folks, welcome to this live stream. And what we have on the screen here right now is the economic news. And let me just have a wee look. And that's come up in 29 minutes time. We've just rolled over into this red zone on this thing here, showing us that jobless claims and the CPI numbers will be coming in a little bit later on in half an hour, 29 minutes now. Really, really important numbers which are going to influence the way which may influence the way this market moves for the rest of this period before the elections. So super important. We're going to try and cover everything else that we want to do before then, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So let me just check that it's all working here, and we'll go back to the charts. Now, this session is just going to be a little bit more relaxed. It's not necessarily a teaching session or anything like that. I want to try and interact with subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, you'll need to subscribe in order to put comments up in the comment section or the chat box. And I'd love to hear from you, and love to hear your questions and your comments and your thoughts about the market. There are only 25 or so people here right now. There may be about 100 later on, but it'll be interesting to see what generally people are feeling and thinking about these markets, because sure as nuts, or sure as hell, a lot of the banks and top funds are in total conflict right now with regards to the direction of the market. Are we going to carry on going up? Is the dollar going to carry on going up? What's happening with Bitcoin and gold? What's happening with energies? And if you read all the information you can find on that sort of thing online, you will be completely confused. There'll be completely conflicting information and news. So we're going to really try and discuss some of that today. But more importantly, I just want to get your questions, find out what's going on. This is not going to be recorded, so it's all happening here. I'm going to try and give away some free memberships shortly through the YouTube setup here. I'm going to do that in about 10 minutes time. I'll do it in 10 minutes, so I'll give you some warning. If you're subscribed to this channel, you'll be in the draw for a free membership of this YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe now so you don't miss out on that. And apart from that, that's all. Now, I'm going to try and go through these charts in about 10 minutes and show you what I'm looking at, what we've done, and then take your questions. And then we'll be heading into the CPI data and the jobs data, which comes out in 28 minutes now, and we can watch that together. So this is not going to be recorded. It's an interactive session. I'd love to hear from you. If you don't like this sort of thing and you want a short, punchy 10, 15, 20-minute session, going through things very precisely and concisely, this is probably not for you. I really want this to be a little bit more of a chat than anything else. Now, I've got some very noises out here. Excuse me one second. I think this is the window cleaner. Hello. Yes, it's Charlie outside who's busy with the windows, because we have a party on this weekend. My son's just got engaged. He lives in China, but he's here in South Africa now, and we're having a party this weekend, so we're getting the windows cleaned for that. Right, let's go through the charts. I'll start with currencies to get going. Let's have a look at the dollar index, and this is kind of what I thought would happen. If you followed me in my last stream, we talked about this very jiggly line going down. and this terrible pattern that looks awful when you go to the 4-hour chart. This is the day chart on the dollar index, and we are following what I thought would happen. The dollar index is coming off, but we're not seeing the weakness creeping into dollar yen just now, but we are seeing the euro strengthening and the pound strengthening, and other currencies like the CAD and Swiss franc, etc., gaining a little bit against the dollar. As you can see, the dollar index coming off. The dollar index is a basket of, it's an index based on a basket of currencies, within which the euro is the most important. That's pushing the euro up. I constantly and continue to think that the euro, despite all of the problems in Europe, with elections in France and Britain, inflation supposedly coming off a little bit, all sorts of political shenanigans going on, and of course the war in Ukraine, and not too far away actually, the war in the Middle East. Even though it's in the Middle East, it's not very far from Europe. So despite all of that, the euro is pushing up, and this is a day chart. This goes back to the beginning of the end of last month, the last section of June, and since then we've been going up. I know a lot of people are short on the euro, but I think that we're going to play this big pattern out at some point, and then we need to get up to the top of this downward sloping trend line, I think, in order to decide what happens next. In order to get to that trend line, we've got to get through this order block zone here where we are at the moment, and we're trying to do that as we go today. Now, this number that comes out today, CPI, the jobs data, will all be super important in determining where the dollar goes. Now, going across to dollar yen, let's have a look at this on the day chart. And we've reached up to this Fibonacci extension level, but we haven't got to the top of this very long-term channel. Actually, if I make this channel, or I think it's actually just a trend line, if I pull this down a little bit lower, you can see there could still be, actually I'm not going to get flustered during this live stream. I'm going to take things very slowly and casually so that we can have a much more relaxed time. So if I draw that trend line a little lower, I've drawn it higher than that for a reason, but let's leave it there. It means that we could push up to the top of this trend line. That would take us up to 164. We're already at 161. The Bank of Japan has not intervened, apart from a bit of verbosity around about that period, and a little bit of a fright from banks like JP Morgan, or investment banks rather, and a few others who were saying that they might be shorting. We're not sure if they were shorting. What happened here? We know the Bank of Japan got involved. I know there was another attempt, a couple of other attempts, like they normally have 3 goes at it, 1, 2, 3, and they seem to have given up after that and let the market decide what's happening next. This area here, this red line, is the area under which I want to close this week, and particularly after today's CPI. We'll talk about more of that when we get along. This is the 4-hour chart just rolling over. Could we get a double top on the dollar yen? Not sure. We'll have to see how this goes. But we do have a channel top there that I pointed out. This is the euro yen just pushing up through its channel top. But remember, this is a daily chart. Remember, this channel is also not great. It probably needs to be a little higher. Let me just pull that up just a fraction up to there. Yeah, so we're just touching the top of this channel, really. And this is a very, 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 very long channel. This goes back to December 2023 on the euro yen, and we've traded within it perfectly, apart from that one spike up through there where the Bank of Japan intervened quite recently. So that's where we are in euro yen. I think it looks interesting for a sell in this zone here. But once again, this data that comes out shortly will be interesting. Now let's go across to stocks. And well, I mean, someone's just put in the chat, what are we going to do with stocks? Where is this going? Can we get to the top of this channel, the red channel? Can we get to the top of the green channel? And these are 2 established channels. We've broken out of that very steep one, but we've carried on rising. The top of this red channel is at 21,250, 21 and a quarter, and the green channel is at 22 and a quarter. So could we get up to 21 and a quarter, 22 and a quarter? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's unlikely. And obviously we need some sort of correction. Where and when this will occur, how this will occur, I don't know. Perhaps even today's CPI will be of interest for that. Now, I've got a couple of charts here if you're trading Nvidia and Tesla, as Kathy Wood and many other people are talking a lot about these 2 stocks that we've been trading quite actively up until recently. We've just shorted We're now short on both of these, and the market hasn't opened, but in pre-market we're down a wee bit. I think we could get up to the 78.6 as long as we're below this high here, which now with the 10 times split is at 141. As long as we're below 141, my prognosis, my hypothesis, my idea, my concept, my trading plan is to remain short in NVIDIA until we close above there on a daily basis. I'd like us to turn around at the 786. We do have a little bit of a gap there to fill. We could fill that up and get going. And then we have something similar on Tesla, although we've been mostly long Tesla up until recently. And we've just entered a short position here at this order block. And I think because of this very, very steep move, a lot of gaps left behind. 1, 2, there's a big gap down here. I think we may try and fill that gap, get to the bottom of this block here, and then bounce off and carry on. I'm bullish on Tesla. This is a counter trend trade, and as such, it is risky by definition. But let's see what happens. Sometimes the counter trend trades in bull markets, in other words, the bear movements, the movements that fall out of the window, whilst the bulls climb up the stairs, the bears that fall out of the window, often those counter trend trades, and there are many people that are perma bears on the stock market. They trade only the pullbacks, and those pullbacks are much faster, much more violent, much more rapid than the rallies in general. So that's why they prefer to trade that direction. I prefer to trade with the direction of the trend, but in this case, I'm starting to look for shorts. So we've got a little bit there going on NASDAQ, S&P right here. Sorry, I got holding my drink for some reason. I'm going to get to all of your questions shortly, guys. I've got them right next to me on this computer. So if you've got time to hang around and wait, we'll get to that. But just let me know. Put something up on here if there's bad music, bad sound, bad visuals, anything else that might irritate people. I don't know if Mr. Boring channel's in here, who got irritated with the music last time. I hope you're back. I'm keeping an eye out. If you are, good morning. This too shall pass. All right, so we're looking for shorts really, but my general direction of the stock market is long, particularly Tesla and Apple. Apple, we've been long on Apple, but not recently. After this big surge higher, I thought we could correct a wee bit longer. We didn't go short, but we didn't go long either. So perhaps we'll have a chance to go long or short on Apple. I don't know, but look where we are. New all-time highs, moving up beautifully, and no reason to be bearish on Apple whatsoever. And of course, Apple's got their new products coming out soon with a, some would call it a tacked on ChatGPT AI function on their new phones, iPads, and computers. Some would say it's a very bad idea because these things are, ChatGPT is inherently insecure. There may be problems with integration, and generally it's a bit messy. Apple doesn't normally do this sort of thing. They do their stuff in-house, but they're going with ChatGPT. I think it's a good idea, actually. I've been using ChatGPT a lot. I like the way it works. I like everything about it, except perhaps the politics and the potential for world destruction. But apart from that, I think it's great. So I think Apple is going to carry on rising, and so is Tesla, but I think we need a pullback on both of these. So that's that. Now, Bitcoin, well, we're long. Our last position we got in was at 55,000. I'm just going to go through some of these charts very quickly before I get to the questions. We're long on gold, long on Bitcoin. You can see our entry prices. Gold just around about 2,300, our last entry price on that. And then Bitcoin at 55,500 or 55,300, I think my entry was, thereabouts. Makes 200 points, makes very little difference on Bitcoin. So we're long from very close to the bottom here. We didn't get right at the bottom of this spike low. It got down to 53.7. We didn't get that far. We didn't get an entry that low, but we got pretty close to the bottom at 55. I like the way this is looking, pretty strong. Someone did ask about silver. We'll have a look at that shortly. And this is my very badly drawn 4-hour chart. This is what I think we're going to get. Let's have a look at the daily chart. We are holding above these moving averages, the 20, the 50, and this trend line. We've broken back into the channel on Bitcoin. I like the way this looks. My target remains at $92,000 or $102,000 for one Bitcoin, and that's how we look on the day chart. This is what I thought we would get. Still probably will if we could just pull this once again. Hang on. I want to go to the day chart. Let's get rid of that mess. Let's go to the day chart. When you draw on your day chart and then you switch to the 4-hour chart, you'll notice that these lines look very weird on the 4-hour. So this is what I think we could do. A bit of a surge now up to here, where these two moving averages are, the 50 and the 100, and this previous swing high. Well out of the channel now. We're still in the longer term channel, but we've broken out of the short term channel. But notice what we've got right above us, right on top of our heads at the moment, is the channel top, this longer term channel, and the 200 period moving average, and this swing high from yesterday that we just touched, that 200, touched the channel, fell back. Today's resurgence back up and re-attacking that level is very hopeful, really. And that's my sort of arrow. If we don't manage to do that, I had this drawn on here. I didn't choose this as my most probable path, moving down into these levels. I've not been short at all. I've been long the whole time. And we started getting long right down here originally. I think if you were trading with me, you remember in the low 30s, we even got long in the low 20s at one point for a really good rally up. And now this is the next move up. I think if we could stay long from 55, hold above 40, 45, 50, somewhere like around there, at least hold within this channel, hopefully above this channel top if we break through here, and then a move much higher. So I'm pretty optimistic for Bitcoin. These things can change rapidly. I don't know. I'm not making a forecast or a prediction. It's just the way it looks right now. These things can change very quickly. All right, I'm going to get to all of your questions just now, Sam. And Zigmlu Stanislavski. I'm still going to get there. And Nick, welcome to all of you. Thank you for your subscriptions. Folks, I want to do a lot more free stuff on YouTube and on X and in my X private group. So please make sure you subscribe if you want to keep abreast with everything. I'll show you the X channel shortly. Gold and silver. Well, gold's looking pretty good as well, I have to say. I mean, gold's been, I was a little bit bearish on gold, but we've remained long. Even though I wasn't sure if this would follow the head and shoulders pattern, move down to this longer term trend line down here, or at least to the 100 period moving average on the bottom of this range. But we didn't do that. We carried on moving up. It's a very strange noise outside. I think it's to do with plumbing. We live in a very old building, which is beautiful but old. Art Deco. It's stunning. So gold's moving up beautifully. We've got a bit of a trend line. There's our entry price. We got in at 2,300. Sorry, I'm thinking Bitcoin. 2,300. We got long there on gold. I actually just want to put a little trend line in here from the bottom. I don't use trend lines an awful lot. What's interesting actually is this trend line that I've just put in is almost parallel to this longer term trend line that we were trying to hold above earlier. So we're breaking back up. We're at least holding the same angle, which is interesting. So there we go. Long on gold. Target for gold, who knows? Some people say gold will go to 3,000, 4,000, 10,000. I don't think that's, I mean, it could do that. I don't know. We're positioned for that. But if we don't get moving to those sorts of levels, I won't be very surprised. But I think we could get to a new all-time high. I think we could get to just below 3,000, maybe, something like that on gold. Maybe just above 3,000, 3,200, something like that. So we're going to be watching that very closely. Excuse me, and with a bit of luck, that'll keep going along with Bitcoin. I'm trading them both together now, gold and Bitcoin. I consider them both to be alternatives to fiat currency. And one of them will beat the other one in the longer term. I don't know which one it will be. A lot of differing opinions on it, whether it'll be Bitcoin or gold that turns out to be the winner. There are pros and cons of both. One's digital, one's physical. We don't really deal with physical products. I don't have physical gold. I have Bitcoin, but that's not physical. I suppose it is. A Bitcoin wallet is semi-physical, I suppose. Silver. Let's have a look at silver. We've got another 12 minutes before the news comes out. I want to be done with this by then. So silver's holding this trend line. We broke down below it, collapsed below it, fake out. We've seen a lot of that, only to this low, and bounced off there again. I like it very much for the moment. As I said, this can change dramatically. We've got this news coming out, CPI, in 12 minutes time, which will affect gold and Bitcoin and the stock markets and currencies. But it looks good. We broke down, broke back in, emphatically broke back in again. We held above these two moving averages, the 20 and the 50, and we're now back above this trend line. So I think it looks pretty optimistic for silver and gold, but let's wait for this number to come out later on in 11 minutes now and decide what happens next. Now, copper is an interesting one because Dr. Copper is looking weak again. We saw a massive surge, a huge drop off. So many people got trapped here. You can't believe. I just heard some horror stories during this period of people going incredibly long on copper. But copper's demand is driven by industrial demand, electrical stuff, electronic stuff, cabling, building, economy, big boy economy stuff. And when copper starts to fall off so suddenly and make this Christmas tree type trade, one has to think this is going to go lower. So I don't know. I'm not a copper bull, but I will be looking to buy into significant dips, but I won't be looking to sell copper either because I'd rather just buy it. I think overall it's going to be bullish, but we're going to need the next sort of resurgence of the economy maybe to get it going. Now let's go across to natural gas. And all right, let me cover this chart very quickly in general. We've got the uranium twins here, URA, UEC. We're long on both of these. You can see our entry points. There's one down here on UEC. We got in at, can't remember the exact number, around about $5.50. And we're long on URA from a long time ago, only just starting to move up now. So we got two positions there, one there and one there, and we're moving up on URA and just held that 200 period moving average and the trend line very beautifully. A little bit of a poke through the trend line, but these trend lines are never perfectly accurate. Channel lines, trend lines. In fact, I could have drawn it a little higher. But there you go, bouncing off the 200, bouncing off this order block and moving up. And we've got two positions there on URA. And we've got a similar position on UEC from much lower. We do actually have another position on UEC from further back, more or less at the price that it is at now. But our last entry was right down at the bottom there, basically at the low. Natural gas, I still think this is going to be fine. I don't like the way it's moving down today, but I do like the way this is reversed. I've covered this in many videos over the last week. This is a reversal candle. We're long on natural gas. We're not in profit right now, but we've broken back we've broken back above this channel, but not the 20 period moving average. So we got above the 20, fell below it, back above it, fell below it, and we haven't managed to reclaim the 20 period just yet. Generally, I'm pretty optimistic for the price of natural gas to move up. I'm a natural gas bull for the moment. My target is $3 plus, probably $3.12 up to $3.40, $3.80, and maybe at some point much later in the year above $4. And again, that's not a prediction. Don't let anyone say or don't tell anyone that I said it's going to $4. I don't know where any of these markets are going. I'm trading them the way they look at the moment with the best possible information I've got regarding the economy, regarding data that comes out. I subscribe to as much info as I can, pay for it, so I get the fundamental information. But I also follow my charts very closely, and charts can change overnight, in a day, in an hour, in 5 minutes. They may well do that today. But we're holding up there quite well, and this is the reversal candle on the 4 hour. If we go to the day chart on natural gas, also looks relatively good. I wouldn't rule out a dip down to 2.18. We didn't quite get there. I thought we would get there, if you remember. I said I didn't think we'd actually hold here. I thought we would actually have to get a little bit lower, down to the 61.8% fib. Someone told me that fibs don't work in trading natural gas. One of the subscribers here, I think on YouTube, said trading natural gas using Fibonacci levels just does not work. Okay, that's fine. I think Fibonacci levels work on all markets, on all instruments. I think it's proven to be true. I think the same could be said for Elliott waves, although I don't trade Elliott waves. There are times and structures which are clearly Elliott wave defined and laid out. And although the natural gas market, like every other market, does not perfectly follow Fibonacci levels, they do offer a great sense of probability and opportunity in the trades that you're looking at. So if I see a confluence of a Fibonacci level with a moving average, for example, or a trend line, that adds more weight to that decision for me. For example, this trend line on natural gas, this black line here is the 100-day moving average over at the NYMEX. This is the Henry Hub futures price. And so this is the main source of what we're trading here. This is the mothership, so to speak. There's the 618 fib at 2.18. It's also where the 100-period moving average is. So if that 100-period moving average and the 618 fib coincide, that provides a better support level, in my opinion. And also, if we see the price reaction at that level being a reversal candle, an engulfing candle, a spike, or one up, one down, an abandoned baby, something like that, whatever it might be. we do see abandoned baby candles. Go and Google it if you don't know what that means, on natural gas fairly regularly compared to other things. So confluence with Fibonacci down here at the 100-period moving average. All I'm trying to say is don't ignore Fibonacci's. And then we've also got the 78.6, just around about the $2 level. Could we get back down to $2? Of course we could, definitely. I mean, the way this is looking now, it doesn't look great. We've got the 200-period moving average above us. We do have this piercing pattern reversal, which is now still in play. It has not been defeated until we close beneath that white candle, and the bottom of that candle is at 2.301. Until or unless we close beneath there, this is a valid reversal candle pattern. So let's see what happens when the CPI data comes out, because that will affect the dollar, and the dollar affects natural gas. WTI, we're short. We may have to get to some of the questions once we've seen the data, because the data is coming out in 5 minutes. So I'm probably going to have to switch across. But just to carry on with WTI quickly in the next minute or two, there are our short positions. We've talked about this quite a lot. There's a long downward now channel line. It's the order block at the top here, the Fibonacci level, 78.6, my favorite fib. It's a couple of other things there as well. I can't remember what they were. Top of this bracket here, this horizontal range, all that sort of thing. Loads of different things that I'm not going to cover too much right now. But if you go to the 4-hour chart, you'll see a whole bunch of other confirming factors to confirm the short. My target for WTI is down into the mid-60s and possibly below that. And then a couple of other trades. I'll get back to some of these. Brent crude, I'm not trading. We talked about UEC, URA, just making sure I've covered everything. These are the Rand pairs, and the VIX and the 10-year yield. The South African Rand against the dollar, weakening. We sold there. I continue to think, I did a whole video on this, you can check that out, that we'll see gradual general strength in the South African Rand unless something goes terribly wrong. And something could easily go terribly wrong. But if it doesn't, I think we're going to see some positivity creeping into the Rand. Same with the Pound Rand. We're not short on that, but I'll consider shorting this. I'm looking for another chance to go short on both of these. VIX, we're long on from the green arrow. That's been moving sideways for, well, going back to the 22nd of May. We're now on the 11th of July, and we have not budged since then. So we just stay with that, and nothing's really happened, so nothing to add. And then I'm starting a new thing. This is a whole page full of commodities. I'm starting a whole new commodities section, not covering energies or metals, but these are softs and grains. And we've got sugar, cocoa, coffee, corn, cotton, orange juice, wheat, and soya beans. I've got a couple of trades in mind at the moment. I haven't looked at this closely. This is the first one on cocoa. I put this up on X yesterday. We've got 3 minutes to go. I'll be looking to short cocoa up into these levels. You can pause this and have a look at it later, or we can chat later on if you want to. I've really messed that chart up. And I'll be covering commodities every day, but only end of day trades on commodities. Orange juice, looking to short this. I'm hoping for a move up to there. We've just missed out. This market's just opened. This is orange juice futures. It's actually a spot price here at Pepperstone. And I wanted to sell right there into that blob. We didn't even get into the blob. Actually, we kind of touched the outside of it. But I was looking to sell anywhere into there. We've just moved down on orange juice, but that's one I'll be watching. And then cocoa as well, looking for that short much higher up. And then a couple of the other things. Coffee, I'm looking to perhaps sell coffee. Sugar, we're long on sugar. That's in a wee bit of profit from down there. You can see where the entry level was, but that's really not very exciting. Soybeans, not too sure. Wheat and cocoa, coffee, corn. Haven't looked at those in detail just yet. All right, now let's switch across to see what is going to happen with CPI. We'll look at the number here, and then we'll switch right across to the charts as soon as we know what the number is. So 1 minute to go. So we're waiting for jobless claims. Will they tick up or down? If jobless claims tick up, we may see a bit of weakness in the dollar. I don't know. I don't even know if they're going to tick up. We've got 50 seconds left to go. And then CPI. We've got CPI. We've got the inflation rate. We've got the various metrics for inflation. And then we've got the core inflation rate and core month on month and year on year. Expected to be kind of more or less the same. I never know what these numbers, predictive numbers, whether they're important. Here we go. Should be coming in a few seconds. 30 seconds to go. So I don't worry too much about the consensus. But if that is the consensus and we come in higher, that'll put pressure on, probably upward pressure on the dollar, because that would put pressure on the Fed not to cut. If these come in higher, any of these come in higher, it will mean that the Fed may cut rates. May not cut rates in the next meeting or two. But if this comes in lower, we may see weakness in the dollar, strength in the stocks, Bitcoin, gold, etc. 2 or 3 seconds to go. Yeah, and natural gas inventories as well. This too shall pass. They're coming out in a few minutes. Well, a couple of hours. All right, let's have a look. Inflation down, negative. The first time we've ever seen negative inflation. Minus 0.1, not ever, in years. 3%, so all of the numbers down. 3% for June, 3.3 on core inflation, and 0.1 on inflation. So all inflation numbers down. Let's switch across back to the charts and see what's going on. Let's go to the dollar. Whoa, look at that. Okay, everyone. This was the chance that shorts on the dollar yen were looking to play, and playing they are. Big short on the dollar, big rally on the euro. So strength in the dollar. Look at the dollar index, bottom left-hand corner here. Hope you can see it all. Yeah. So massive move down in the dollar, massive move down in dollar yen. And let's have a look at stocks. Big move up in, not really, tiny move up in stocks really. Don't worry about this first move in stocks until the market opens. Let's see what the market really is going to do. No move on Apple. Tiny move on Tesla upwards. Just a little bit, but nothing on Apple. NVIDIA, a big move up, but only into that block. Now, I want to sell NVIDIA in about an hour's time when my broker opens for the New York session. NVIDIA is at exactly the level that I want to sell it at. I'm hoping that it'll stay there or even go a wee bit higher. I don't want it to drop off now in the pre-market session, and I want to sell right there, and that price is at 136. That's where I want to sell NVIDIA for a move down. Now, I don't know if it is going to move down. I don't know if the stock market's going to move down. The dollar moving down should push stock markets up, should push metals up. Look at gold surging upwards. Not much on Bitcoin, though. Bitcoin has actually been a bit pathetic, unfortunately. Let's see if they can get a wiggle on afterwards. We'll look at silver. That's right here, looking up a little bit. But gold is the big winner. Look at that big surge through resistance. Unfortunately, although we're long on gold, I don't have a huge position on this, so I could have had a little bit more. But as I said earlier, I was a little bit concerned and confused with gold. Let's go across and have a look at energies. URA, nothing really, nothing on natural gas. Nothing on natural gas, nothing on WTI oil, just ticked up a wee bit, not much. And then the Rand, wow, dollar Rand crashing down. This is the one that we're short on, so that's all good. And the VIX, of course, moving down because the stock market's moving up. And the 10-year yield moving up, surprisingly, because you'd think that would move down along with the dollar and along with interest rate expectations and this actual negative number, a negative print on inflation. Can you believe it? Right, now, this too shall pass. I don't know why you got your message deleted. I'm not sure. That wasn't me. That was the machine. All right, let me have a look at some of the questions, everyone. So now we know what the number is. Inflation dramatically improved. Let's see if there's any news coming out on this. And let's see what's... Let's see. Hang on. Let's go back to the browser. And... we were talking about natural gas stocks. Those are coming out later. Let's just have a look at what time while we're talking about this before I switch over. 1 hour, so 2 hours from now, the natural gas stocks change come out. 2 hours, expected to be higher, 56 compared to 32 on the last occasion. And this is what the chart looks like. So drifting down, what is this chart here? Hang on. I think we got a problem. No, here it is. What is this number? Okay, they've messed up these charts. I don't like it very much the way they've done it, but they somehow put the euro on top of the stocks change chart. There's no sense in that. What does history say? Nothing. Oh, there we go. Okay, you can have a look at the last readings. So going back to May, 50, 59, 70 something, 70, 70 something, 80 something, 90 something, 70, 71, 53, 32 last time, and expected to be 50 again, 50 something this time. So I don't know. And then I want to go across to X quickly and see if there's anything that's come out regarding inflation, or if there's anything else on here. Folks, if you're not following me on X, it's a good opportunity to get updates in between videos, because I don't update everything by video. Apart from my private trading group, my members get all of my trades the moment I take them, but I don't put those up on YouTube, of course, because it's not well, it's a free service, but also there's the timing of it doesn't work. But I do put up occasional tweets throughout the day on X, and you can go across to ArcisFX on X and just follow me there, and you'll get all the updates. I'm trying to find out if there's any news coming out on this inflation number at minus 0.1%. Probably not. All right. There will be news. I'll just have to wait for my emails to come in. Let's go back to have a look at the charts. And whilst I've got the charts up on there, I'll go through all the questions. So just bear with me. It is a slow process. I don't want to miss any questions, and I don't want to go through them too quickly. Once again, this is more of a chat session. If you don't like this sort of thing, and you just wanted a quick in and out, now's your time to go. You don't need to hang around. We're going to hang around for another half an hour, just go through some questions, talk about stuff, in any comments or whatever, and then we can move on. All right. So, Damajan, welcome from Germany. Nice to see you. I also can't get these messages up on the screen, so you can scroll back through your chat box and have a look at what I'm reading. I can't get them to print up on the screen using the software. There's a way to do it, but I just haven't figured it out. Hello and greetings from Germany. Any ideas about silver? Yeah, so we talked about silver. I think silver looks pretty constructive, considering what we've just seen from inflation, by the way. And gold and silver and metals in general, and Bitcoin hopefully, will greatly benefit from rate cuts. And that's what this lower inflation number signals, that there's a higher likelihood of rate cuts earlier rather than later. I don't know if they're going to cut next month, or this month actually, the end of this month, or in September. I don't know. No one knows. But that inflation reading means it's more likely than it was 10 minutes ago, which would be good for gold, good for silver, good for Bitcoin. And silver, as you can see, is moving up nicely. We did talk about that a little bit earlier. Mr. Stanislavski, will there be some correction finally in the market? Will it be severe? And if VIX is superseded, could it be the one not trying to catch falling knives? I don't think VIX can go a lot lower. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name either. Zbigniew. Let's go with Zbigniew. I don't think we can't go a lot lower on the VIX. I mean, we're pretty much as low as it gets. We could get down to here, I suppose. We did get that in December 2023. We got down to just below 12, 11.8. We're currently at 12.3, and that's the price that we got in at. So I don't know if basically this is as low as it goes. It can't go a lot lower. I suppose it could theoretically could go to zero, but not really. I don't think it can go to zero. So that's where we are in VIX. VIX is pretty much like natural gas. When we get down to a certain level, down to around 12, 13, 14, 15 maybe, but really 12, 13, we're at the bottom. We're near the lows, and we look for these big spikes up on the VIX, and we get out and we wait for it to come back down again. Pretty similar to natural gas in some ways. So that's where we are on that. Mia is going to short oil today. Okay, Mia, good luck with that. We talked about that a little earlier. Is flat low inflation figures today bullish for natural gas? So James, thanks for subscribing earlier, by the way. I really appreciate it. Natural gas is affected somewhat by the dollar, although really I think about 10%, 11% of US natural gas is exported to mainly Europe and some other countries. So it's not the biggest portion of the output, the LNG section of it. So the dollar does affect natural gas in many different ways, but not as directly and blatantly as if it was being sold in bulk en masse overseas to other countries. The fact that it's mostly used, US natural gas mostly used within the US, doesn't have a huge impact on the price, but there will be some influence from the dollar, and it's difficult to really define which way. I don't know. Okay, N1KZY, can you check GBP, JPY? Okay, so you want to look at the yen pairs. Let's go back here. There comes the yen off. So this is the euro yen. This is the one I'm looking at, but if we want to have a look at the pound yen, let's have a quick look. What should we choose? Let's go with Pepperstone. So there's the pound against, and really we've got to look at this at least on a weekly chart and probably a monthly chart. All right, so there we go. We're not as high as we have been, by the way, interestingly. This is the pound against the Japanese yen. We've broken out of this previous swing high here at 185. It was at 195. We're at 207 today. Now, that's pretty bullish, and it's moving up. There's no sign of abatement just yet on this, and the pound is probably going to gain some strength in general against currencies. We can draw a trend line like that. Better one over here, probably. When you draw trend lines, don't take the most obvious point. If I draw this trend line here and touch that low there, I miss out on 3 lows just above here. If I touch that low, I get all 3 of those touching the trend line, making that trend line more valid than just the 1 point. Try and touch as many points as you can. So we're miles from the trend line, which is roughly near this 220 period moving average on this monthly chart. Now, there's only one thing that I can really draw in here, a couple of things maybe, but first of all, my go-to is a Fibonacci level. And I draw the fib in from the top to the bottom. I want to encompass or incorporate this entire move from the top down to the bottom. And you can see that the next fib level, we've just broken out through the 618. That's why this breakout here was so significant. We've broken out through the 618, we've broken out through this order block, and we're into open space right now. Just above us, we do have one other potential resistance level, and that's at this block here, at 214 yen to the Great British Pound. And that's right here where this previous swing high was, a little bit of a swing high there. But it's in between these fibs, right in the middle. And I don't think it's particularly interesting, personally. So I understand your concerns if you're short on this. It's not pleasant. But with a bit of luck, if the yen gets a change of heart and direction, as you can see, it is doing just that. Well, okay, that will drag these other ones down. You can see the pound yen's also moving down. Let's go back to the euro JPY. This is live trading, guys, and euro JPY. And I want to use, just go back to Black Bull, I think. Yeah, so that's moving down a wee bit there. That's the Black Bull chart. Now, dollar yen, I'm assuming that the Bank of Japan here has thought, well, this is a good chance to intervene. Let's do this. Or the hedge funds that I was talking about earlier, including JP Morgan, including comments from Reuters, I think the Wall Street Journal, a whole bunch of people were saying that this chart's going to move down. And literally a week ago, they were saying this is going to the moon. So I don't know what has changed in the shift in policy. Maybe there's some leakage by the Bank of Japan. I would imagine that they've jumped on this moment with this negative CPI number to sell the dollar and to buy Japanese yen. And it could just well be that they've jumped into this themselves, piggybacked on to the CPI number. So far, so good. Pound yen, with a bit of luck, the pound yen, the euro yen, all the yen pairs generally move in concert with the dollar yen. So as you can see is now happening on the euro yen and the dollar yen. So fantastic moves down. I'm pretty pleased about that because we're short on both of those. And we're also long, as you know, on these metals and Bitcoin. Not, well, one metal, gold and Bitcoin. We're long on. Bitcoin's looking a bit pathetic. I don't know why. I'm not long on silver, but if you are, well done. And then NatGas, we'll come back to this shortly if we need to. I might just do a separate video. VIX is not moving. And then orange juice and coffee and so on, so on. I missed the orange juice, damn it. I'm upset about that. But that's where it goes. This is going to be the biggest move on the dollar yen for a very, very, very long time. We've already moved down 350 pips and we've still got 15 minutes left to go in this hour. Big move. All right. Waiting for some VIX move. Yeah, you'll probably get the VIX move later, and VIX is going to move when the markets do. But bear in mind, everyone, let's just go back to these stock markets. The reason that these markets have not rallied dramatically, along with gold and Bitcoin and so on, and the dollar falling off, is because when the Fed begins to pivot, you will mostly see the financial markets, the stock markets, the indices, individual stocks, the stock market, the equities, all begin to come off. It's not the time to be buying stocks when the Fed begins to ease. They begin to ease because there are problems in the economy, or they've achieved their goal, which they will crow about, inflation at minus 0.1% this last month. They will be crowing about that for sure. But there will be other reasons why they're talking so dovishly. Jerome Powell yesterday, in his testimony, was pretty dovish, more so than for a very long time. And yeah, so why was he so dovish? Did he know this number? Was he aware of it? Probably. Are there other things that are making him worry about the economy? Jobs. We know that he's talked about jobs. So are there things that he's spotting, seeing, talking about, deliberating over that are causing big concerns in the market, which will cause the stock markets to fall off along with the dollar, whilst other things like look at this bouncing now, whilst other things like the euro and the pound, etc., decide what they're going to do. So it's going to be a bit messy and interesting. All right. Natural gas, we've talked about. Big gains in uranium. Yes, we talked about uranium stocks. I'm not going to cover that again. Miss M, love you, Uncle Arcus. Well, thank you, Miss M. Thank you very much. I love you too. I love all of my members and followers. I really appreciate you. And if you're not subscribed and if you want to ask a question, now's a good time to do so in the chat. I'm hoping that this yen trade will carry on in its direction, not spike. Let's hope for that. All right. What's going on with natural gas? Okay, we've talked about, let's just get through this next half an hour. If you're still around and you want to talk more about natural gas, we can do so. But I want to try and wrap this up, most questions that have come up until now, and then we can just chill out and talk about other things. I don't know why I'm using so many hand gestures. I think it's because this camera is in front of me and it tends me want to use my hands, which is an interesting thing that I observed some politicians do, including Nancy Pelosi, and not so much Joe Biden. His hands generally just stay like this. But a couple of the politicians move their hands around too much. And what that often means is it's a sign of insecurity or insincerity. And I don't want you to think that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to try and reduce or restrict my hand movements somewhat. Okay. Tin. I don't know about tin, Nick, I'm afraid. If you could give me a symbol on Tim that you're following, on tin, Tim. Nick, not Tim. Nick, if you're following tin, give me the symbol. I'll put that up and we can have a look at it together. All right, this too shall pass. You're obviously using too many caps. I don't know why, but I didn't delete your message. That was the robot. It's trained to do so. Very clever robot. Inventories on natural gas come out in a couple of hours, actually an hour and 45 minutes now. Going G'day, Pixie Parker the dog. So happy to find you. All right, let's get some free giveaways here. Let's give some membership gifting. I don't know who's going to get these. 10 free memberships. I can gift 5 now only. I don't know why. So here we go. Membership gifting incoming. If you're not subscribed, I think you just got to be subscribed. That's all. You won't be able to receive this. But if you are subscribed, there's a free gift coming to someone. And these are automatically allocated by YouTube, not by me. So there we go. Voila. Oh, the boring channel. Well done. Hello, Carol Christie. Good day, Judith. Judith gets one every time. Mikolai, welcome. I'm glad you got a membership. And Alex. There's still one missing. That's 4. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Well, welcome all of you. Welcome to your free membership for a month. Free members, all members get a few videos a little earlier, a few things in the members area, something similar to X, where I put up charts and comments in the community section for members. So you'll be able to get access to that. If you don't like following X, you can do that in the members area. And if you didn't get a free membership and you want to be a member, you can join. It's either $7 a month or $1 a month. So it's pretty cheap. And you'll be part of this community, which we're now trying to build out quite sternly and dramatically and enthusiastically and excitedly. And we're growing this community dramatically now. We've got a new member coming onto our team, a social media specialist. And we're also launching some trading courses in the next few months. Some pretty awesome stuff. I'm going to be teaching everything that I've learned over 20 years of trading financial markets, including currencies, stocks, commodities, futures, options, you name it. And that'll be covered in those courses. So all pretty exciting. So if you want to be part of this community, I think it's $1 a month. You can there's a join button below this video. You can just join up. All right. Natural gas only, says Alex, music and chill out. Trump, yeah, the boring channel. Trump, this is Trump, right? Yeah. It's going to be so good. It's so great. I love it. It's amazing. Yeah, that's Trump. Joe Biden just like this. His hands. So a lot of hands out front. Right, let's have a look at natural gas. Well, having a look at the dollar yen. This is crazy. Crazy because we're short. We're short on euro yen, short on dollar yen. We're not no other currencies right now. We're short on NASDAQ, we're short on SPX. We're looking to short Nvidia at the market open. I'm already short Nvidia from a little bit lower down, but that's where I want to short Nvidia. Apple, nothing at the moment. I'd like to see a pullback on Apple. And we're already short on Tesla. We went short Tesla yesterday. This is just a counter trend pullback trade. That's what I'm looking for there. Let's go across to natural gas. Yeah, I don't think whoever says natural gas is plunging, it's not plunging. In this last 4 hours, we moved from $2.28 to $2.25. We moved 3 cents in 4 hours. That's 0.75 cents per hour is the rate at which natural gas is currently moving, which is pretty slow. Snail's pace, crawling slug. And then orange juice. This is the other one. I think we might have missed this one. I know a lot of people were asking about orange juice recently, not yesterday, but a couple of days before, saying, where should we sell this? And unfortunately, that was my advice, and we may have missed out on that one. So it looks like we turned just above the 618 fib, didn't get to the 78.6 or fill this gap. But it ain't over just yet. And I'd like to see this gap filled. So perhaps tomorrow or the next day or a little bit later on, we'll see orange juice moving up a little bit higher to give us another chance to short. Same with cocoa. I want to short much higher up. And then sugar, we're long already. We've talked about all of these. VIX, we've talked about, barely moving as well. And then natural gas, just stuck where it is. I think that's why everyone's getting frustrated and bored with natural gas. By the way, folks, if you're interested in ordering one of these shirts, this is my shirt that I have purchased, and on the back it says ArcisFX. I don't know if you can actually see that. This is a bit weird, I know. ArcisFX. I'm getting some done with natural gas, NATGAS, and so on. And I'll be putting those up as available merch. I don't make any money out of them, but they're just pretty cool shirts. And from the World Surf League, and surfing is a bit of the thing that I'm into. And these are really cool shirts. So there goes gold, surging upwards. Bitcoin, pathetic, but holding up. Just a bit weak, really. Not looking particularly good, but gold's looking fantastic. And then Tesla and all the other stocks that we're looking at, we've got to wait for the next hour, actually half an hour before the market opens. So we'll see how those go. But we shortened NASDAQ and SPX already, looking to shorten Nvidia, and then going across to the currencies. That's what we've got. Mostly moving on the yen and the dollar index, as you can see. This is interesting because I know an awful lot of people are short the euro, and this is pushing the euro up as the dollar index forms what looks increasingly like a potentially weak breakdown in the dollar, which will push up the euro and the pound and the Canadian dollar and the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen, which is what's happening right now. I'm sorry, WeVibe. Sorry you didn't get a membership, but you can buy your own membership. It's only $1, $1 a month, and you're part of this community. So I encourage everyone to do that, and it really helps this channel, even though it's only $1. If there are 50 people, it's $50, which pays for a subscription to Reuters, for example, or Wall Street Journal, and all of that information that I get from those subscriptions and paywalls, I'm able to put back into the community. And so if you're wondering what's going on with the Bank of Japan and you don't know and you can't find out because the paywall hides the Reuters report on it, you'll be able to get that in our community because I watch all of that stuff all day long. So I'd encourage you to do that. It's $1 a month, $1. Thank you, Boring Channel. Thank you for receiving your membership. I really appreciate that. And I'm glad you're still here and not annoyed today, because I purposefully made sure there was no music anywhere near this channel today for you. So I hope you appreciate that. All right, here's another couple of questions. Scottish. I don't know who's Scottish. Who's Scottish? WeVibe. Hey, I know this is a weird one. This is from John Hoare. This is a weird one. Could you check on wheat and corn? They've broken huge downward trends, and I'd love to see your input on cotton and corn. Okay, cotton and corn. So, John, as I said earlier, I'm going to be doing an end-of-day commodities service going forward. So I'll be looking at all of these I'm talking about commodities. The commodities that I'm referring to are the softs and the grains, and that covers sugar, cocoa, coffee, corn, cotton, orange juice. I suppose that's a soft, maybe, wheat and soybeans. So I'll be doing this more regularly. And your question is about the downward trend lines that these have broken. Wheat and corn, they've broken downward trends. So let's have a look. First of all, let's have a look at wheat. I don't think wheat's broken any trends. We've been looking at wheat for a very long time, and I think wheat could go a bit lower, unfortunately. I don't have the daily chart, the weekly chart on here, and I've done a big analysis on wheat. But I'll tell you what I will do. Is I'll do a separate video on these commodities, the softs and the grains, and put those up as a separate video, because there's too much to cover now, and not everyone's really interested in trading corn and wheat and soya and sugar. But I don't think this is a break of any downward trend on corn, for example. We just had a look at wheat, and I need some more time to look at these in more detail. But you could call that a downward trend line break. Yes, it is, but it's an incredibly steep trend line, and I don't even know where we're coming from. I haven't looked at these in any detail just yet, and you can see these charts don't go far enough back on Pepperstone, which is where I'll be trading this. I'll be trading the spot prices on all of these futures rather than the futures on these futures, for various reasons which I've talked about, and that includes to some extent natural gas, although I do trade the futures on natural gas and the spot price. 3 different brokers actually. So let's go back to natural gas. So yeah, we're still above this level, and I'm not concerned about natural gas at all. Let's see how we go. You know, it's basically, as long as we're above this low here, and until we break below 2 point, I think it was 2.19, or call it 2.2, unless we close on a daily basis beneath 2.2, which is this level here, is it? Hang on. Let's have a look on this daily chart on the Henry Hub. Let's see where the Henry Hub was. So these prices are different on the Henry Hub compared to the spot price at Pepperstone. But the low here was 2.27. Okay, so as long as we don't close below 2.27 on the NYMEX Henry Hub price, we're still bullish. If we close beneath there, we may have to go down towards 2.11 and maybe even $2. It doesn't really concern me either way, because the cheaper the better. I'd like to buy natural gas much lower down if possible. I don't know if it's going to be possible though. I think we may try and hold here, at least above this, well, engulfing, piercing pattern reversal candle. All right. So John, yeah, getting back to wheat and corn, I'll try and do a video on wheat. I'll try and do a video on all of these eight commodities in the next day or two, bearing in mind that you're interested in wheat and corn. So hopefully I don't forget. I hope I don't forget. Why is natural gas down, says Ahmed? It's down because it's down, because there are no people buying at the current price. Okay, Alex, music and chiller. Weird fact: on Monday, French communist election outcome should have destroyed the euro, but nothing happened. Yeah, that's a really important point, Alex. The French situation with the sort of right and the left at loggerheads, swinging wildly one way and then the other. Now it's back to what appears to be the left, had no influence on the euro apart from strengthening it. So it's a very, very, very good point that you've just made, and you would expect the euro to have fallen off, as any currency would normally do during great political turmoil and uncertainty like we've seen in France. Not only in France, but in Britain too. Not so much turmoil in Britain, apart from the protests against Palestine and Gaza and Israel, and a little bit about Ukraine, but not a lot of turmoil, but certainly election turmoil with Keir Starmer getting in. And not only him getting in, but Nigel Farage just about coming second. So big swings around about there, and huge, massive turmoil in Europe because of the France elections, and yet the euro has remained strong. Let's go back here. There's the euro. Not particularly strong compared to what we've seen on the yen and so on today, right now, or the dollar index, but the euro has not faltered and waned, which means that the dollar might be in a bit of trouble. That's lending strength to the euro. But very, very interesting, and a great point there, Alex. I really appreciate that. Do you see a potential head and shoulders pattern on the natural gas hour chart? That's from Blue Jail. Natural gas hour chart, head and shoulders pattern. Okay, well, I don't trade off hour charts, but let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, I suppose, not really. I mean, a head and shoulders takes place at the top of a trend for a start. This is at the bottom of a trend. And there's not enough space below this low for a proper movement down for a technical completion of a head and shoulders. So no, this is not a head and shoulders pattern. It's at the bottom of a move rather than the top, and it's just not. It might be a pagoda type pattern, like a Japanese pagoda, like that, Christmas tree, something like that. But it's not a head and shoulders. All right, the Boring Channel says, pray that natural gas stays above 2.06, otherwise it's going to get ugly and painful. Oh, inverted, sorry, Blue Gel. Let's have a look. I'll go back there, sorry. Inverted. Man, I don't know. No. I mean, I suppose, yeah, I mean, basically we've got this dip down recovery, I mean, look at this move. This is a 1 hour chart. That was the rollover over the weekend, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of straight up, apart from one black candle. So that's just really a spike low reversal piercing pattern. I wouldn't try and attach a technical pattern to that really, although, you know, it's, I suppose you could if you want to, but it's not really that, no. All right. Tomorrow is Friday, the biggest sell-off day. Yeah, not necessarily, Alex. Let's see how we go. Yen still plummeting. We vibe. Yeah, it's not the yen. It's the dollar's plummeting, not the yen. The yen is strengthening. But I know what you mean. Oh, on the 4 hour. Okay. All right, we'll get there, Blue Jail. Don't worry. You said 4 hour. Okay. All right. Inverse head and shoulders on the 4 hour. Yeah, no, I don't think so, but you could call it that, I suppose. I keep on looking at your name on the other computer rather than looking at you through here. I suppose you could consider it to be something like that, but no, it's not a technical, a proper head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders on the 4 hour. All right. Mir says, is it true that the lower the inflation rate, the lower the oil prices? Not necessarily, Miss M or Mir. The low inflation rate tends to go with a lower dollar, which would actually potentially strengthen the price of natural gas. But I don't think it has as bigger influence as most people think. So a lower inflation rate means that it should be low interest rates, a propensity for lower interest rates, and therefore a propensity for the lower dollar, and therefore a higher price in dollars for natural gas. You can imagine if the price stayed the same in euros or pounds, but the dollar weakened, the price would go up in dollar terms. Yeah, okay. I think we got there eventually, Blue Jail. So, yeah. So here we go, folks. On this, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this before. If you've been trading for some time, you'll know that these big moves on the dollar yen occur infrequently, and often they're a sign of some intervention by the Bank of Japan. We've seen a couple of these recently. We saw one over here going back to 2022. We saw one over here going back to 2023. And those ones had some legs. You can see that one actually really got a good move going down. This one, not so much. You can see diminishing returns here. And actually what this looks like in the end is an ascending triangle. And this is quite interesting, actually. So if we were to touch the tops of these, you can see they're getting less. Well, it's not really going to work. No. Okay, actually, I'm going to leave that line in there. That's a good. All right, so the drop on this occasion here, massive drop. The next time, about half the size of that previous drop. This time, the penultimate time, today being the ultimate time, a drop about half that length again. And today, is it going to be only half of this size? In other words, is this it? Are we finished now? Is that the end of this drop? Is it getting smaller and smaller? What I was trying to point out to you earlier is that this forms actually an ascending wedge, a narrowing ascending wedge with these reduced drops from the rallies. So are we going to see a smaller drop like the last time, which was smaller than the previous, which was smaller again than the previous to that? I don't know. But I think we've got a good chance of a strong move down. Often these moves are accompanied, as I said, by intervention by the Bank of Japan. Notice that we did turn around, change direction precisely at this 161 point. What is it? I'm just going to say, it says 0.15. Precisely at this Fibonacci extension. Precisely. All right, you might say it went through by a pip or two on 1 or 2 days, 3 or 4 days ago and yesterday. But that's the 786, my favorite Fibonacci extension number or retracement number, 786. That's 0.786 or 161. Same thing. It's the inverse of the 0.786 on the retracement. This is the 0.786 on the extension. And that's where we are. I like it very much. It's my favorite fib, as I keep on saying. With a bit of luck, that'll carry on moving down in our favor. All right, Blue Jail says, I trade on City Index platform. The instrument is called natural gas, and I can see it clearly. Okay, cool. City Index, I don't know that platform, Blue Jail. Chill out, Alex Music, chill out. May I ask one more question? Why have I never looked at Elliott waves? Alex, I'm an Elliotician of sorts. I've studied Elliott waves in some detail, admittedly quite a long time ago now, probably 15 years ago. And I find them to be useful, but also confusing and often conflicting. And I don't like the resetting of the rules all the time. I have a hard and fast level that I trade off most times. And that becomes my line in the sand. When that level's broken, I will then look to readjust my Elliott wave count in a way, I suppose. I mean, I look at the 5 and 3 wave series and the intermediate series in between the longer waves and so on. But I looked at it a long time ago. I decided it wasn't for me, and also decided that there are much simpler ways to trade. So I use very few indicators, or I don't use oscillators apart from looking for divergence. I don't use RSI, stochastic. I know exactly what they are. I sometimes use Bollinger Bands. I use moving averages, not for crossovers, just for support and resistance. And that's about it, really. And I find Elliott waves are a little annoying and confusing and often ill-defined and too flexible. But there are so many different ways to trade the market, and I'm not saying Elliott waves are good or bad, just not for me. They might be for you, I don't know. But they certainly do adhere to similar principles to Fibonacci retracements and retracements and projections, whatever the other word is, forgotten now. All right, there's one guy on YouTube from Alex, and he trades based on Elliott waves. His opinion is that natural gas hasn't had a 5th wave yet, which makes him almost certain natural gas will land another low below 1.5. Okay, well, look, he might be right. If that's the case, then we'll all have to be hedging our natural gas positions. I don't think that's the most likely scenario at all, but maybe he's right. If you think he's right, and his opinion agrees with your idea on it, you should trade accordingly. Take your pay your quid and take your chance, as they say. I don't know who this person is. Perhaps you could point it out. I don't mind if you're quite welcome to put up a link here in this channel, or if you can't put the link out, just type out the name at whatever the channel is, and we can all have a look at it. I don't know, not sure. More trading online. Okay. All right. Brian, nice to see you, mate. Brian says he can't stay around. Wanted to pop in and say hi. Lovely to see you, mate. Brian, what's your opinion on natural gas going forward? Brian's from Energy Rogue. Shout out to Brian. If you're not following him on Energy Rogue, you can go across to Energy Rogue, ROGUE, and they provide fantastic fundamental analysis on natural gas and crude oil. He's worth listening to. Bill and Brian, 2 of them. There might be others behind the scenes in their staff complement, but I don't know. I think it's just Bill and Brian. Oh, well, Alex, I hope I'm right. I'm not too worried if I'm wrong, though, I have to say. So I trade a lot of different instruments. Natural gas is one of them. I don't put all my money on one instrument. So I'm in currencies, in stocks, in commodities, in futures, in spot. Natural gas is but one of them. But I do like to be right as much as I can be. And so I hope it goes up as well. Although I wouldn't mind grabbing a little bit more further down. I don't know if we're going to get that chance. We're at the top of the channel now. This is where we need to hold on natural gas. For those of you natural gas aficionados, we've had the breakout, retracement to the scene of the crime, as Mr. Soloway will always tell you. I don't mind mentioning or having links to other channels up here because we're all doing this together and we're having fun, and I don't feel threatened by competition from other people. If you prefer to follow someone else, or you think someone else is better at their job or know more about it than I do, there are plenty of people that are much better than me at many things. So if you prefer to go with a short scenario, short theory, that this is going down to 1.5, then go for it. You might be the trade of your life. I don't know. I don't think that's most likely scenario. I think what we've got here, something like this, is the first opportunity for us to bounce. Hopefully it will right now from this level, 2.23. If it doesn't bounce here, then we've got to get to the bottom of this candle and we'll see what happens there. If it doesn't bounce there, it's a pretty convincing 4-hour candle. If it doesn't bounce there, then we're going to head lower. Then we could be at 2.11 or $2 or even below. If you do think that's the way natural gas is going, you should be positioning accordingly. And you can trade this commodity both ways, by the way. It's basically a ranged commodity. We go up into the 3s and 4s, we come back down into the 2s and 1.5s, and the market moves like that periodically from time to time. There are various cycles involved, which are relatively ill-defined, but rough cycles. And we're kind of at the cycle low right now. I think we're just a few days out. If you look at the time cycle, not just time cycles on natural gas on the weekly chart. So yeah, maybe we'll bounce here. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm not disputing Elliott waves at all. I think there's some value in them, but I think the value that Elliott waves add to my own trading are less valuable than the hassle that they create, and the slight confusion, messiness on the charts, and the recounts all the time. I just, it's not really my thing, that's all. The boring channel says Elliott wave can be helpful, but to use it by itself as a recipe for disaster can be very useful at times, but often it's a question if you really are where you think you are in the wave count. Yeah, so I mean, look, you'll strike it lucky from time to time with the wave count, but it's almost as random as most other things are. If you get a MACD crossover, does that mean the market's going up or down? No, because if a crossover up, is the market going up? Or a crossover down, is the market going down? The answer is no, because if you just traded those crossovers every time they occurred, you buy when we get a crossover from underneath upwards, or you sell when we get a crossover downwards, and just trade those. You could use stochastics, a stochastic, or you could use the RSI, overbought and oversold. You could set it at 75 or 80 or 85. You can fiddle around with all those numbers. You can change it from 14.73 to 14.77 or 21.74, whatever you want on the stochastic. But if you trade those crosses from overbought to oversold, and when the stochastic crosses every time, and that's all you trade, you will lose money. So I think Elliott waves are about as random as anything else can be, in my opinion. And my opinion is not always perfectly correct. Often it's completely wrong. Quite often. What do I think about gold? Adu, well, we talked about gold already today. Gold is looking bullish and we're long. So yeah, looks good. Not too sure about Bitcoin though. Let's try it again to get through that 100 period. And we're still at the, so we're on the 4-hour chart in Bitcoin. We had a look at the day chart earlier. On the 4-hour, we've got the 100 period above us. On the day chart, we've got the 200 above us on Bitcoin. There it is there. Trying to get through there, trying to get through this channel top through the 200. And on the 4-hour chart, it's actually a similar situation, trying to get through the 100, which makes sense, and trying to get through there. We did get above that little swing high, but we've fallen back quite dramatically. Hopefully Bitcoin will get a bit of a wiggle on as the day goes on. But gold's certainly looking fantastic. Let's go back to stocks. I'm going to actually hang up in about 7 minutes time because I need to put a trade on NVIDIA. And I'm going to be shorting NVIDIA at 136. There's a free tip for you. And I'm also going to be putting a very tight hedge on this trade. So if we get above this bubble, actually, let's have a look at this more closely. If any of you are trading NVIDIA, this might be helpful. So that the price is actually there right this minute at 136, but I can't trade it for half an hour, or it's 12 minutes now. But I want to sell in this bubble. That's a 78.6% fib. And as long as we hold it beneath this low here, this high here at 17, call it 141, I might actually just put my hedge above 141. Probably will do that. Yeah. So I'll sell here a little bit. I'll put my hedge again above 141. If we carry on moving upwards, I'll sell a little bit more towards 141. If we carry on moving downwards and close convincingly down below this gap, I'll also sell a bit more and add to my winning position on this short NVIDIA trade. Target for NVIDIA, well, it's anyone's guess, but we could be looking at 100 or just below 100. And we've got this big, massive, we've got a whole bunch of gaps here, but this big one here at about $96 and these two swing highs. So, and it's also where the 200 period moving averages moved up above that right now. So if I draw a horizontal line in here like this, that's my target for NVIDIA. So in 10 minutes time, I'll be selling NVIDIA. I think, almost certainly. NASDAQ and S&P, a little bit of a spike up, but moving down. Apple gone nowhere at all. And Tesla, although we're looking to sell this, is a counter trend trade, looking to buy it later on. I want to buy Apple, Tesla, and maybe NVIDIA later on in the coming weeks and months. Let's go back here. Bit of a bounce on dollar yen. All right, folks. Markets open. I've got to go. Markets open in 10 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for attending. I really appreciate it. I try to just be a little bit more casual. And I'm going to be running a lot more of these live streams and trying to make them just more interactive and casual. So make sure you subscribe anyway. It's free and you can join these whenever you want. Have a great trading day and I'll speak to you soon.